for the hardest-hitting show in talk radio. The true progressive voice since 2012. This is Southpaws.
And welcome to Southpaws on the Pacifica Radio Network. We are the leaders of the revolution. My name is Darren Gibson. I'm your co-host.
And my name is Jack Prince, your fellow co-host.
Jack, it's you and me today. Katy is feeling under the weather. So Katie's going to rejoin us next week. We hope that she feels better.
Absolutely.
We got quite a bit to talk about today. We've got Pfizer news on the vaccine and how effective it is, at least in Israel. So we'll get some details on that. Plus, a quadruple hammer time segment this week. So we'll check that out in just a minute here. Before we get started with the show, a couple of reminders. You can follow us on social media by going to facebook.com/Southpaws Radio Show. You can follow us on Twitter at Southpaws Radio. You can follow us on Tumblr, southpawsradioshow.tumblr.com. You can also find us on YouTube by doing a search for Southpaws Radio. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/Southpaws Radio. You can listen to the show anytime you like at Spreaker.com or at Stitcher.com. Just do a search for Southpaws there. We're on Apple Podcasts. Just do a search for Southpaws. Once you found our logo, you found us. We send links to our weekly episodes to our Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and YouTube pages. You can listen to us on Global Community Radio Channel 1 every Saturday night at 11. And you can listen on great Pacifica stations, including KCEI-FM in Taos, New Mexico, KZGM in Kabul, Missouri, WOOL in Bellows Falls, Vermont, and we want to say hi to the folks in Redway, California at KMUD, Redwood Community Radio. They downloaded last week's show, so we're glad that you joined us for last week's episode. We hope you join us again for this week and for future episodes as well. And
Glad to have them.
Yes. Speaking of the future, time is running out. Yes, the polls are open. We had to delay things a little bit because of the events of the Capitol and all the insanity that happened with the Capitol riots. So we had to delay opening the polls, but they're open now. We have our awards up. Douchebag of the Year 2020. How does this work? Well, we compile all of the weekly Hammer Time segment winners. We put them all up for a vote on our Facebook page. So go to facebook.com/Southpaws Radio Show. It's the pinned post at the top of the page. You get to vote. It's ranked choice voting. Pick your top 3 in order. We'll tabulate the results. I should let you know the voting ends on Wednesday, February 3rd at midnight. We will have results for Douchebag of the Year 2020 on next week's show. So make sure you get your vote in. Jack, you haven't voted yet.
Not yet, but I can't wait to do it. And I want to remind our listeners this is going to be a wide open, fair, highly monitored election. There'll be no fraud anywhere in this.
Absolutely. No hanging chads, no pregnant chads, no chance whatsoever. Oh, boy. So since we've been talking about the Hammer Time segment, we might as well just go ahead and get to the appropriate music.
Stop. Hammer Time.
Oh, yeah, it's Hammer Time. It's time to drop the hammer on the douchebag of the week, and we've got 4 winners this week. This will be a good one, Jack. Let's get right into the first one here. This is from the Associated Press, reported by NBC News. Winner number 1 is the Arizona Republican Party. This is dated January 23rd out of Phoenix. Arizona Republicans voted Saturday to censure Cindy McCain and 2 prominent GOP officials who have found themselves crosswise with former President Donald Trump. The censures of Senator John McCain's widow, Former Senator Jeff Flake and Governor Doug Ducey are merely symbolic, but they show the party's foot soldiers are focused on enforcing loyalty to Trump, even in the wake of an election that saw Arizona inch away from its staunchly Republican roots.
And in the shadow of the most ugly insurrection in our nation's history.
Absolutely. Good point. Party activists also reelected controversial chairwoman Kelly Ward, who has been one of Trump's most unflinching supporters and among the most prolific promoters of his baseless allegations of election fraud. The Arizona GOP's combative focus has delighted Trump's staunchest supporters and worried Republican insiders who have watched the party lose ground in the suburbs as the influence of his traditional conservative establishment has faded in favor of Trump. And I'm going to stop real quick. I think we need to stop referring to the Republican Party as the GOP because, as our friend Dean Vanderstelt has said, there is nothing grand about this party anymore. And I don't think
there's nothing that resembles the party that Dean and you are familiar with 10 years ago. I mean, this is a hybrid group of thugs. Come on. Ideological thugs. And stupid ones.
Yes.
Stupid enough like Cruz the other day to think the Paris Accords was designed to help the citizens of Paris.
We talked about that on last week's show. What an nincompoop. Yep. As Bugs Bunny would say, what a nincompoop. Oh, my God. Pretty bad when I have to start quoting Bugs Bunny on this show. Oh, God. A growing electorate of young Latinos and newcomers bringing their more liberal politics have further hurt the Republicans. Kirk Adams, a former state House Speaker and Chief of Staff to Governor Ducey, said, quote, "This is a time for choosing for Republicans. Are we going to be the conservative party? Or is this a party that's loyal to a single person?" End of quote. Well, I think we got our answer there just from their actions. Sounds like they're a party of Trump.
Sure are.
You know, do you think Trump's going to start the Patriot Party as we keep seeing rumors of? You think that's ever going to happen? Or is he just
No, he met yesterday with McCarthy in Mar-a-Lago in the star-studded library there. And, you know, the Republicans know they got money to bank with Trump. It's corrupt and it's ugly, but it's guaranteed. They know they can press the Trump name. They've got a block of voters come hell or high water, and that's what they're leaning on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me continue here. It's a question of Republican identity the party officials and activists are facing across the country following Trump's 2020 loss, and particularly after a mob of his supporters laid siege on the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Nowhere is the question more acute than Arizona, where the state's Republicans' unflinching loyalty to Trump stands out even in a party that's been remade everywhere in the image of the former president.
Yep.
Chairwoman Ward has relentlessly but unsuccessfully sued to overturn the election results. The party has used its social media accounts to urge followers to fight and perhaps even to die in support of Trump's false claims of victory. 2 of the state's 4 Republican congressmen are accused of playing a role in organizing the January 6th rally that turned violent, which, yeah, we've seen that. So why were the 3 censored? Well, Cindy McCain endorsed Joe Biden for president and became a powerful surrogate for him. So that was her crime. In the case of former Senator Jeff Flake, he was one of the few congressional Republicans who was openly critical of Trump for failing to adhere to conservative values. He declined to run for re-election in 2018. He endorsed Biden in 2020.
Good for him.
In the case of Governor Ducey, he's being targeted for his restrictions on individuals and businesses to contain the spread of COVID-19. While it's not mentioned in the proposed censure, he had a high-profile break with Trump when he signed the certification of Biden's victory. So this is all sour grapes. And
we heard Trump's son say on the day of the insurrection, this isn't the conservative party that belongs to the GOP. This is the Donald Trump party. We saw just months before when they met to talk about a platform. In their indomitable way, they said, the heck with the platform. We just will parrot whatever policy, whatever direction Donald J. Trump wants to go. That's our platform. And I mean, there's never been a statement like that. You and Dean would recognize it ever from any party in the United States, that they're just carte blanche going to accept whatever the candidate says.
So they are the first winners of Hammer Time this week. Winner number 2 this week, former White House counselor Kellyanne Conway.
Oh, wow.
I have this story. This is Jenna Amatuli writing for the Huffington Post. This is dated January 26th. Former White House counselor Kellyanne Conway has been accused of posting a topless photograph of her teenage daughter, Claudia Conway, on Twitter. Social media erupted on Monday night after Conway's account allegedly shared a fleet, which, by the way, this is a new thing that Twitter's doing. It's a fleet. It's a post on their mobile platform that disappears after 24 hours. This fleet that she posted showed a partially nude Claudia, who, by the way, is only 16. The image has since been deleted, but other Twitter users say they took screenshots of it. The situation then made its way over to TikTok, where Claudia often posts about the ongoings within her family. Over the course of the last year, the teenager has been sharing videos that appear to show her tumultuous relationship with her parents, Kellyanne, and vocal anti-Trump lawyer George Conway. After commenters wrote on Claudia's post that her mom had shared a topless photo of her, the teen made videos telling her followers, quote, "I don't know if this is a joke or not, but I'm really scared," end of quote, adding, quote, "Is this real?" end of quote.
Gee.
In a since-deleted video, Claudia told fans, quote, "I'm assuming that when my mom took my phone, she took a picture of that, so that was on her phone. I guess she accidentally posted it or somebody hacked her, but nobody would ever have any photo like that ever. So, Kellyanne, you're going to fucking jail," end of quote. This is her daughter saying this.
Oh.
Kellyanne Conway told CNBC, quote, "I have no comment," end of quote. Representatives for the daughter, Claudia, did not immediately respond to Huffington Post's request for comment. Just to let you know, folks, federal law prohibits the production, distribution, reception, and possession of an image of child pornography. This is according to the Department of Justice, which also states that any violation of federal pornography law is a serious crime. Convicted offenders face severe statutory penalties. A spokesperson for Twitter told Huffington Post that, quote, "Through technology and human review, will proactively remove any images that violate the Twitter rules," end of quote.
She could get Giuliani to represent her, couldn't she? Or does he still have his license?
Jeez.
She'd have to hurry.
Yeah, no kidding.
Did you see that the dingbat that spoke with Giuliani here in Michigan is going to run for the political office?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I forget what her name is. We don't even need to mention her name. Nut job, crackpot, cuckoo, cuckoo. It's unbelievable. Well, did you see that Sarah Huckabee Sanders is planning on running for governor of Arkansas?
Yeah, they kind of saw that that coming. And she may have a few IQ points on the chick here. I can't think of her name.
Oh,
and
my
it is
God.
Arkansas.
Yeah. Continuing this story, Alpine, New Jersey Police Chief Christopher Bell Cole told Huffington Post via email Tuesday that an investigation is being conducted by the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office. No additional information can be released at this time. This is where the Conways live, is in Alpine, New Jersey. The Bergen County Prosecutor's Office confirmed, quote, that each member of the Conway family has been fully cooperative throughout the investigation, end of quote. Claudia also told fans in another now-deleted video to report the photo if they see it. She expressed disbelief at the situation. By the way, she has now said that she's taking a break from social media and that she's trying to get the family to heal. And apparently people have been sending death threats to her mom. She says, I love my mom, and stop the death threats, but I need to take a break. Wow.
Yeah, that's the family in turmoil after loyal service to Donald Trump. It happens quite frequently.
Yep. So let's get on to winner number 3 this week. It's Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican of Georgia.
Wow. This is the one I've been waiting for.
Oh, yeah. This is just god-awful stuff here. I have this. This is Marina Petovsky writing for The Hill. This is dated January 28th. A TV reporter and videographer were threatened with arrest after attempting to ask Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene a question at a town hall event. Meredith Aldis, a reporter with WRCB Television, said the journalists were invited to the event in Dalton, Georgia, which was open to constituents. But when the crew arrived, they were told that they would not be allowed to speak to guests or the Georgia lawmaker. WRCB reported that Greene, during the event, addressed a CNN investigation of Facebook posts and comments that revealed that she expressed support for violence against Democrats before running for Congress. However, when the reporter attempted to ask her about the posts, Greene reportedly responded that she was at the event to talk to her constituents. Aldis also said she attempted to ask the lawmaker about Representative Jimmy Gomez's announcement this week that the California Democrat is introducing a resolution to expel her from Congress over her past comments. And by the way, over her video of basically stalking David Hogg.
David, yeah. He did threaten, so I've got a gun. I'm carrying a gun.
Yeah.
The parent responded in adequate fashion, said she's out. She's done. And by the way, when is a town hall not a public forum? You cannot differentiate and say you're there to meet just with your constituency. You can't do it.
Exactly. It is a public event. It really is.
Sure it is.
And that's open to the media, too. If you don't want it open to the media, don't hold public forums. Right. Do what Bill Huizenga does over on the lakeshore of Michigan. He doesn't hold public town hall meetings. But that's another story for another day. Continuing here, but a member of Greene's staff reportedly approached the reporter and told her that she had to leave, which gets to winner number 4, the Whitfield County, Georgia Sheriff's Office, because a deputy escorted the reporter and her photographer out of the town hall despite the crew showing their invitation and their press credentials. The deputy threatened to arrest and charge the crew with criminal trespassing if they did not leave, according to the station.
On what grounds? That should be challenged.
And by the way, that's a First Amendment violation. This is the government restricting freedom of the press. For those of you that want to start in on, censorship, Twitter, no, Twitter banning Trump, that's censorship. Well, it is censorship, but you know what it is? It's not a First Amendment violation. It's not a free speech violation. This right here is a clear-cut violation of the First Amendment.
Yeah, what's going to be done about it? Where was the press conference? Where was the town hall? In
Dalton, Georgia.
Dalton, Georgia.
Yep.
So I'm assuming that would be a Dalton policeman, right?
It was a Whitfield County Sheriff's deputy.
Yeah. Well, the other side of the mountain. But it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
That's a clear violation, as you stated, and don't hold your breath.
Yeah. A spokesperson for Greene told WRCB that the reporter was removed because the event, quote, was not a press conference, end of quote, and accused the reporter of causing a quote-unquote disruption by seeking to ask questions.
Those pesky questions. Doggone it.
Yep. The town hall event was one of 3 that Greene is hosting in her Georgia district this week. When asked for comment, the Whitfield County Sheriff's Office directed the Hill to Greene's office. So they're passing the buck down in Whitfield County, Georgia.
Well, Dalton, Georgia, I've been through there, and that county substantiates what Winston Churchill once said. He said, the biggest proof that democracy doesn't work is to have a 5-minute conversation with a lot of voters. And any 5-minute conversation you would have at a convenience store in Dalton, Georgia, you would seriously wonder, let's put it this way, you wouldn't wonder how they would elect with a considerable margin a conspiracy nut who believes forest fires have been set out west in contemporary times by Jewish ray guns. And I'm trying to think, was it the Martian movie where they I'm trying to think what that was called. What had the ray guns that roamed around and shot that down?
I don't know.
Just recently. Remember Tom Cruise was in it? Jeez, I can't think of the title of that. But that's what I see.
Oh, no. I got one better for you. One of the RoboCop movies, during the media break segment that they had on there, you give us 3 minutes, we'll give you the news. And apparently they had a laser gun circling the planet that accidentally went off. It was part of the what was it that Reagan, it was Reagan or Bush, the Strategic Defense Initiative platform. So supposedly this laser gun had been circling the planet and accidentally started a forest fire in California that killed like 100 people, including 2 former U.S. presidents. By the way, RoboCop, the RoboCop series of movie is fantastic because is it life imitating art or is it art imitating life? Because a lot of the things that have happened in that movie have come to pass. Private ownership of police, you name it.
Well, these are the 4 top douchebags, and rightfully so. We should have a category of the wildest, craziest, bat crap crazy conspiracy theories, and the ray guns out west has got to be right in there.
Oh, no, I can top you. I have this story. This is David Gilbert writing for Vice News. This is dated January 27th. You're going to die when you hear this, Jack. The average QAnon believer likely has no idea what frazzle drip is, but Marjorie Taylor Greene definitely does. She is no average QAnon follower. On Tuesday, it was revealed that Greene had shown support for executing Democrats, including liking a comment in January 2019 that said it would be quicker to remove Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi with, quote, a bullet to the head, end of quote. Wow. Mm-hmm. At the same time, it was revealed that the Republican lawmaker had signaled her endorsement of the unhinged Frazzle Drip conspiracy. What's Frazzle Drip? According to the conspiracy site Your Newswire, which, by the way, they've renamed, they've had to change their name because they were so wacko and cuckoo that people started calling them out on it. They're now called News Punch. So if you see anything with News Punch, you need to ignore it because it's cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. So in April of 2018, here's the claim that Your Newswire posted. This is the theory called Frazzle Drip. Apparently, a video was found on the laptop of former Democratic Congressman Anthony Weiner, who was jailed in 2017 for sexting with a minor. Apparently, this video began circulating on the dark web. The video was found in a folder on the laptop's hard drive called Life Insurance. The video was named Frazzle Drip. This bogus report says the video, which, by the way, it doesn't exist, is fake, totally fake, but these QAnon folks believe this because they're idiots. According to this video, shows Hillary Clinton and Weiner's former wife, Uma Abedin, who, by the way, was a longtime Clinton aide. According to this conspiracy theory on this video, Clinton and Uma Abedin are raping and mutilating a young girl. Specifically, the video is supposed to show Clinton filleting the young girl's face and then taking turns with Abedin to wear the girl's face as a mask in order to purposefully terrify the child so that her blood would be flooded with adrenochrome. The girl then bleeds out before Clinton and Abedin drink the blood during a satanic ritual sacrifice.
Holy cow. I'm speechless.
This is what they believe. Frazzle Drip.
Oh, my God. That's that one did beat any conspiracy theory in history. But this would have to be classified as illegal to post something like this, wouldn't it? If it's as violent as what
you would think so. You would think so. But the conspiracy theory doesn't end there. QAnon supporters also spread the rumor that multiple officers from the New York Police Department who saw the video have been killed by Hillary Clinton, who then covered up the murders by making them look like suicides. Have we heard this before?
Wow. I guess the ray guns out west are almost plausible just by the sheer vacuum that frazzle drip. I thought frazzle drip was a coffee you get at Starbucks. I'd never.
Oh, jeez. My God. Maybe that'll be one. It'll be red coffee. God.
Yeah, a little caramel drip on top. Why not?
Yeah. Frazzle drip, folks.
I don't know, Darren. I think
cuckoo.
We're all susceptible. The IQ level, forget it. People hear this most shocking thing, and for like a bad storm in the sky, it attracts them somehow.
Yeah,
it's so ridiculous, but yet it has drawing power. The nuttier they get.
But why though? Logical people know this is ridiculous. On its face, it's ridiculous.
I know. And how many hundreds of thousands of these people you pass every day? They're in the grocery line. They're driving on the roads.
Oh yeah.
We have one in the Congress.
At least one. One that we know of. One that's proud of this.
Yeah. And the thing is, there's not a conspiracy theory that she wouldn't accept or promulgate. She'll take the craziest.
Yeah. I'm
no historian, but I remember the Jews being accused of drinking infant blood back in the 30s. Seriously, that's the same one of the same propaganda traits that the Nazi used all those many years ago, and here it is again.
Oh yeah, it is. You can't compare them to Nazis. You wanna bet we can't?
Word for word, you can.
Yeah. There used to be a rule on this show that the only comparison to Hitler is Hitler himself. Well, we threw that rule out when Donald Trump got into office, and again, we were right. So, to our 4 Hammer Time winners this week, the Arizona Republican Party, Kellyanne Conway, Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, and the Whitfield County, Georgia Sheriff's Office. Congratulations on winning. We have this message for you.
Don't be a douchebag.
That's right. Stop being addle-brained, conspiracy-driven douchebags. Knock it off. Oh, yeah.
What a cabal.
Oh, well, I tell you what, can we add to our collection here? We didn't name him as a douchebag, but he certainly is. A fantastic story has come out on Reuters. This is Aram Roston writing for Reuters. This was published at The Guardian. Yeah. This is dated Wednesday, January 27th. Listen to this. Enrique Tarrio, the leader of the Proud Boys extremist group, has a past as an informer for federal and local law enforcement, repeatedly working undercover for investigators after he was arrested in 2012. This is according to a former prosecutor and court proceeding transcripts from 2014 that were obtained by Reuters. So, yeah, the guy he's in league with the cops. Hell, he was an informant.
Yeah, it's no wonder they hug each other and, take pictures together. They've been working together.
Oh, of course. We've said that on this show for years.
Sure. Right here in our capital.
Mm-hmm. In the Miami hearing, a federal prosecutor, an FBI agent, and Tarrio's own lawyer described his undercover work and said he had helped authorities prosecute more than a dozen people in various cases involving drugs, gambling, and human smuggling. So Reuters reached out to him and interviewed him and said, hey, what's the story with this? We have to play the music for this. We haven't played this in a little bit here. A little bit of Shaggy, It Wasn't Me. So here's what Tarrio told Reuters. Quote, I don't know any of this. I don't recall any of this. End of quote. In other words, it wasn't me.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Donald
my God.
Trump. This is his anthem. This really is.
Yeah,
This is the insurrectionist anthem.
Yeah, exactly. It certainly is. Law enforcement officials in the court transcript contradict Tarrio's denial. In a statement to Reuters, the former federal prosecutor in Tarrio's case, Vanessa Singh Johannes, confirmed that, quote, he cooperated with local and federal law enforcement to aid in the prosecution of those running other separate criminal enterprises, ranging from running marijuana grow houses in Miami to operating pharmaceutical fraud schemes, end of quote. Yeah.
Wasn't me.
That's what he said.
Wasn't me.
I gotta
now,
stop that.
Do we save him for next week, or what? How do we
Oh
do
no,
that?
we'll let him go. Oh
Okay.
boy. So the 36-year-old Tarrio is a high-profile figure who organizes and leads the Proud Boys in their confrontations with those who believe to be Antifa. Yes, Antifa. By the way, folks, that's anti-fascist. If you're against fascism, you're Antifa. This is not a
you
group,
enjoyed
it's a
all those
movement.
World War II movies, Pork Chop Hill, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
Those were Antifa, the guys with the American uniforms on.
Yes.
You know, the ones you like, Ernest Borgnine. Those were Antifa.
Mm-hmm. The Proud Boys were involved in the deadly insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th. Let's just call it what it is. It's treason. Treason. Those people that stormed the Capitol should be prosecuted for treason.
Yep.
And in my opinion, you know what the penalty for treason is? It's right in the Constitution. This is the death penalty.
They brought the scaffold. Just keep it there.
Yeah, there you go. The records uncovered by Reuters are startling because they show that a leader of a far-right group now under intense scrutiny by law enforcement was previously an active collaborator with criminal investigations. Well, I'm sure that he's still actively collaborating with the cops in just different methods. Washington police arrested Tarrio in early January when he arrived in the city 2 days before the Capitol Hill riot. Well, let's just call it the treason. He was charged with possessing 2 high-capacity rifle magazines and burning a Black Lives Matter banner during a December demonstration by supporters of Donald Trump. The D.C. Superior Court ordered him to leave the city pending a court date in June. So he's not even allowed in Washington, D.C. until this court date. While he did not take part in the storming of the Capitol, at least 5 members of the Proud Boys have been charged for their roles. The FBI previously said that Tarrio's earlier arrest was an effort to preempt the events of January 6th. So this transcript says that Tarrio and 2 co-defendants had pled guilty in a fraud case relating to the relabeling and sale of stolen diabetes test kits. I didn't know that was a thing, but I guess it is. So you steal diabetic test kits, relabel them, and then sell them on the black market. So he got busted for that. Wow.
And they're debating today whether or not to build permanent fences with the infamous barbed wire at the top. You know, so when you go to Washington with your senior trip, you can, stand and gaze through the iron bar. And of course, many senators, both sides of the aisle, say, no, let's not. Let's not make the Capitol an armed camp.
No, that just sends the wrong message. But we need to go after these treasonous terrorists.
Yeah.
Prosecute them to the absolute fullest extent of the law.
Yeah.
Look.
Yeah, Pelosi, she came out and said, hey, our enemy's right here in this room.
It is.
They come here every day. They pack heat. They walk through the detectors, refuse to be stopped. You tell me where the danger is.
Marjorie Taylor Greene being one of them.
Yeah, oh, hell yes.
It's insanity.
And the other, I didn't know her name, from Colorado.
Yeah.
That wild one.
Yeah. By the way, I love this. I hope to hell that Michigan bans guns in the Capitol building. Because it won't be just the Capitol building. It'll be the entire grounds.
Yeah, concealed, too. Yeah, concealed.
Conceal and open carry. No more. Yep. I said it on this show years ago because there was a story several years ago when Jim Garner and Joe Elder were my co-hosts. We talked about a guy who had been arrested in Grand Rapids he was carrying a gun. He was just walking down the sidewalk carrying a gun, and the cops stopped him, and I think they arrested him, if I remember correctly. And he turned around and sued and won, saying, hey, open carry. I can open carry.
Right.
I said at the time, just because you can do something doesn't mean it's a good idea to do it. And I said, the day is going to come when open carry is going to go bye-bye in this state because of idiots that want to flaunt the law. I can do this. Well, you can get that taken away too there. And guess what? It's not a violation of the Second Amendment. Got news for you. It's not what the Second Amendment says.
No. I never liked the legislation. I mean, it's just gas on the fire to let open carry take place, and now it's come back and bitten us rather hard.
The truth of the Second Amendment, you folks need to really listen to Tom Hartman, is that the well-regulated militia had to do with enforcing slavery. There's your truth.
Yeah. Well, your police departments. That was the headwaters of every police department in our nation. They were no more than vigilante groups who went out to round up runaway slaves.
Yeah, exactly. I got to get off Enrique Tarrio because we've still got a lot more to talk about. Jack, one thing I really want to get to is what is going on with Wall Street. We rarely talk about Wall Street or the economy on this show, but this is fantastic news. This is David slaying Goliath, as you said before we started recording today. And you were the one that put me onto this story. I had no idea any of this was going on until you called me and said, hey, what do you think about this? I'm like, what?
Well, I've got so many investments, Darren. I keep an eye on this stuff. I'm kidding. I'm a retared teacher.
And I was just going to say retired teacher. You can afford that as a retired teacher?
No. That's my point.
Yeah.
But it is big news because we land a punch back. The little guy gets a punch in on David. Now the system is going to try and legislate and halt trading and pull every mechanician under the book. But a punch was scored, like you said.
Yeah, it's a big one. I have this. This is Sean Langlois writing for Market Watch. This is dated January 25th. The smug factor is running hot in Reddit's buzzy Wall Street bets community, where a growing number of not safe for work stock flippers are clearly feeling pretty good about themselves these days. And why wouldn't they? GameStop Corporation, one of the group's beloved meme stocks, has been absolutely shredding the short sellers for weeks. On Friday alone, mark-to-market losses for those betting against GameStop came to $1.6 billion, according to S3 Partners.
Piece of change, yeah.
So here's how this is. Help me out with this, because I'm not an investor and I'm not good with the terminology. But my understanding of this is that there is a subreddit called Wall Street Bets. I believe there's, 2.5 million people that belong to that subreddit page? Something like that?
Yeah.
And so what they do is they get together and they talk about how they can, invest money in that. Well, some of these businesses, GameStop being one of them, AMC Theaters being another, Nokia, BlackBerry, Bed Bath & Beyond is another one that was mentioned. These are companies that hedge fund managers are betting against. They think that these companies are going to go out of business. So they're hedging their bets, I guess. So what this group, Wall Street Bets, is doing is they're pumping up the stock of these companies that are in trouble, like GameStop, like Bed Bath & Beyond, whatever, and pumping up the stock to the point that these hedge funds are losing money. They have to buy the stock in order to keep the hedge. They're losing money, and the little guy is going to the bank finally.
Yeah, which is the reverse of what the big guy has done for a long time.
Yes.
And one of the terms is they bet against, but it's even more direct. What they do is they short it.
Yep.
Which is a way of devaluing the stock And I'm not sophisticated enough to tell you exactly how that happens, but it devalues. And, of course, as it devalues, that self-fulfilling prophecy, it devalues the company to the degree that they wipe them out. They wipe them out and they cash in with your money, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's not a more lecherous entity in United States economic system than hedge fund operators. They're not particularly smart, but they are particularly greedy.
Oh, exactly. So here's how this works. I'm going to continue the story here. One trader in a piece CNBC host Jim Cramer described as perhaps the most important article you'll read about the recent move took a crack at explaining it on thestreet.com. So this is Tim Collins, who's a trader. Quote, "There's been an awakening. A large group of retail traders have realized if they work together using market tools such as out-of-the-money call options or low-float stocks, they can overpower any institution or short seller in the world outside of the Fed, of course." End of quote.
Right.
Kramer himself admitted on CNBC that he's, quote, "never seen the guns like this. They can break shorts." End of quote. That awakening Collins wrote about has drawn fierce critics of the tactics that have apparently led to such outsized gains. For instance, Andrew Left, editor of Citron Research, said he would no longer comment on GameStop after, quote, "name-calling and hacking," end of quote, and the, quote, "harassment of minor children by the angry mob who owns the stock," end of quote. Yeah, apparently some of these people on the subreddit are calling the hedge fund managers boomers, which is hilarious as hell. Oh, my God. One of the Wall Street Bets moderators felt compelled to address the backlash, taking exception with the narrative that the forum is disorderly and reckless and is involved in manipulation. He wrote, quote, "What I think is happening is that you guys are making such an impact that these fat cats are worried that they have to get up and put in work to earn a living. Some of these guys traditionally use the media as a tool for them to manipulate the market, have failed to further line their pockets, and now want to accuse you guys as being manipulators. This is complete nonsense. They hate that you played by the rules and still won." End of quote.
Yeah, and then CNBC parades out a billionaire, okay?
Yeah.
This morning, who comes out and says, "This whole thing is just a way of attacking rich people, the poor rich people." You know, really? No, those were his words. That was his comment.
Oh, yeah, I believe it.
You have to look at the whole big picture of really what the stock market has represented and what it represented for Donald J. Trump. And that is, they, as in the billionaires, that people will consider the stock market as an indicator of our economic health as a nation.
And it isn't.
And it's anything but. This whole pandemic proved it's got nothing to do with the 90% of Americans out there and their economic standing. Nothing whatsoever. It's a very small club, and as our prophet of our show, Carlin, said, and we're not in that club, Darren.
It's a big
I
club.
said I have no investments. I've never had an investment in Wall Street, and neither did my mother and father. And we were considered middle class, and that's indicative of the United States. This is, you said it, this is a cabal of fat cats, real fat cats.
The only stock I have ever owned was when I worked for NBD Bank. I would put some of my money in and would purchase shares of NBD Bank Corp at the time, which is, by the way, is now J.P. Morgan Chase. And I haven't owned that stock in years. I sold it a long time ago. But yeah, I actually have a quote from some of these short sellers in Wall Street. Here it is. Yep, nothing but big babies.
Yeah,
They
really.
need their diapers changed and their ass spanked.
Yeah, sounds like Rand Paul.
So yeah, these Wall Street fat cats, as they're called, they're just being big babies over, oh, we're losing money. Oh, well, you need to lose money. You need to lose a lot of money. You know, like we've said on the show, eat the rich. Like you said, Jack, don't worry about taxing the rich. Worry about eating the rich.
Yeah, well, they fed off of us for eternity.
Oh, absolutely they have. They've stolen our labor. They've gotten rich off of our labor. Oh, but they're job creators. No, they're not. I've had this argument with Tommy Brand for a couple of years on Facebook. You're not a job creator. You're not. You don't know what creates jobs? Demand for a product, demand for a service. That creates jobs. Oh,
exactly.
God.
Yeah, the greatest job creators in the history of the United States were called plantation owners.
Yeah, living right off the backs of the slaves. And if a slave ran away, like I said, they send the patrol out and they either get him back or they get him back in a corpse, one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah, you could work all you wanted, plenty of overtime, all the overtime you wanted to work.
Yeah.
You had the dignity of having a job. Of course, you didn't. Well, we don't want to go down that road too far right now.
No. I'll tell you what. If you want a good bit on that, listen to the old Eddie Murphy audio from one of his concerts from back in the 80s where he talks about slavery. Right there, the greatest. I want to move on to a little bit of coronavirus news. This is Reuters writing January 25th out of Jerusalem. This is some good news about the Pfizer vaccine. Fewer than 0.01% of people who received Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine have contracted the virus more than a week after receiving the second dose, a leading Israeli healthcare provider said on Monday. The preliminary results shared by Israeli HMO Maccabi showed that only 20 people out of some 128,600 who received both shots have since been infected with the COVID-19 virus. Israel is a world leader with its rapid vaccine rollout, though the data also comes during a nationwide lockdown that has been helping to stem contagion. Israelis began receiving the first shots of Pfizer's vaccine on December 19th. The country is providing Pfizer with weekly data updates on its vaccine campaign under a collaboration agreement that may help other countries fine-tune their own inoculation drives. Maccabi said in a statement that, quote, according to their experts, this is preliminary data, but the numbers are very encouraging. Maccabi reports that out of the 20 people infected, 50% suffered from chronic illnesses. All patients experienced a mild illness with symptoms including headaches, cough, weakness, or fatigue. No one was hospitalized or suffered from a fever above 38.5 degrees Celsius. Most patients tested for COVID-19 due to exposure to a verified patient. End of quote. This is good news.
Yeah, that is encouraging. But it's in the light of maybe the most laughable clusterfuck I've ever seen, where we have people lined up, like going into the Palace of Wizard of Oz, outside the gates, waiting for, at the end of the day, there might be a few ounces of vaccine left over. You see 500-600 people stretched out, and at 5 o'clock, 4 or 5 people go through the gate for the leftovers of the day. And these are people camped out in the cold. Speaking of the cold, there was a traffic jam in Oregon from a snowstorm coming off the ocean, and the cars were backed up for miles. And one of the cars held one of the vaccination crews. The vaccination they had was about to expire. They couldn't move in traffic, so they just went down the line, knocking on windows. Hey, you want a little vaccine? But, I've been in traffic jams before. People have offered, a Coke, want a can of Coke while you're waiting? Yeah. Only this time, we have a life-saving vaccination while you're waiting. Here, roll the window down. Hey, thanks, pal. We got 3 more. Yeah. This has been nuts. West Virginia, they drive it around in pickup trucks. They drive out in the country where most of the people live and vaccinate. There is no scheme. There is no order. There is no plan. There's some dedicated workers. Some states may be a little more adept than others. But overall, it's a total cluster, Darren.
Yeah, West Virginia is basically the standard which other states really need to look at this point. I guess they've gone through...
Of all places, right?
Yeah, I believe they've successfully have administered 81% of the shots they've received. 81%. Not very many states have hit 50% at this point. So,
and this came out, I remember the day, on the 15th of December. Mm-hmm. And we're now at the 28th today of January.
29th, actually.
29th.
Yep. So... Yeah, this is fantastic news out of Israel, so let's hope this continues. Before we get going, I've got an update to a story that we've talked about on the show a couple of times, having to do with the farming issue in India. The farmers are protesting new laws. They want the laws gone. Currently, the India Supreme Court has suspended the new laws. Well, that's not good enough for these farmers. I have this story. This is Hannah Ellis Peterson and Akash Hassan reporting for The Guardian. This is dated January 26th. Farmers protesting against new agriculture laws in India broke through police barricades around the capital and entered the grounds of Delhi's historic Red Fort on Tuesday in chaotic and violent scenes that overshadowed the country's Republic Day celebrations. Police hit protesters with batons and fired tear gas to try to disperse the crowds after hundreds of thousands of farmers, many on tractors or horses, marched on the capital. One protester was confirmed to have died in the clashes, and dozens of police and protesters were injured. Mobile internet services were suspended in parts of Delhi, and some metro stations closed. As the clashes continued into the afternoon, Home Minister Amit Shah met Delhi police to discuss how to get the protests under control. So, yeah, the farmers have had enough. They're like, no, suspending the rules, not enforcing them for 18 months, that's not good enough. We want these rules gone totally. And I still
say that's the kind of image a protest should have, and Americans need to take a look. How about in Russia right now? The cold part of Russia, thousands, hundreds of thousands.
Yeah. Oh,
as if we have nothing to worry about here, right?
Yeah. Russia's going to find out soon that people are fed up. People are fed up everywhere. We've talked about protests all around the world over the last year. Chile, India, here in the U.S., obviously, with the police shootings that continue.
Well, wait a second. Maybe we're fed up here in Michigan. I forgot to mention real briefly that today and tomorrow there will be fed up parents who spent good, hard-earned money to send Johnny to summer basketball camp who are going to have to be delayed for 2 weeks. And by God, they're fed up with that. They're down there in the cold protesting Whitmer's safety measures. I don't get me going, Darren. We have enough time. My real feeling on this, and I'm an ex-coach who knows the value of athletics in high school, but I've never had a backdrop where we had a life-threatening virus, the worst in our country's history. It may surpass 20 or 1918, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I call it the heights of selfishness. Absolute. It's selfish when you see somebody walking around with a mask off their face. It's also selfish when you push teachers into classrooms that haven't been vaccinated. But we might consider that way above having to have a volleyball game after school. The education takes first priority. These parents, in my book, are more than selfish, self-centered, sending the wrong message. They're standing out there with their colors on, these sports moms. It's ridiculous.
Is it a surprise, though, Jack? I mean, it's not. When you come down to brass tacks, this society, American society, is built on selfishness. And for that matter, these days, stupidity.
Yeah, that's how we're wired.
You know,
that's how we're wired. So self-seeking, and I would argue that sports summarily could be a government edict are canceled until we reach a certain, plateau. Not even a plateau, a level, a low. Right now, it's almost 7% affected out of when you test 1,000 people in Michigan. It's got to be down to 1%.
Yeah,
make it clear. Instead of on and off again, that's going to just aggravate these people. Make it clear. We're not going to risk the bus driver's life. We're not going to risk the janitor's life. If you think your 19-year-old is impervious, your 14-year-old is impervious to the disease, which he isn't, by the way, have him shoot baskets in front of your garage. We're not going to risk one person's life. And when we get to 1% infection or efficacy, whatever they call that rate, then we're back on and live with it.
Yep. Well, there was a story that just came out that said if England had instigated the lockdowns similar to what South Korea did, their economy would have grown And they would have saved, I believe the figure was close to 100,000 lives or something like that. I forget the actual numbers, but
extrapolate that same rubric for the United States, and numbers would be even more shocking.
But instead, we have Republicans in the state of Michigan. All they want is control. And matter of fact, I'll wrap it up with this story here. This is Dave Boucher writing for the Detroit Free Press. This is dated January 27th, and I'm just going to be real blunt here at the beginning. Folks, Republicans want to be dictators. Period. End of story.
Yep.
Here's the story here. Michigan House Republicans unveiled their own COVID-19 recovery plan on Wednesday, using the proposal to blast Governor Gretchen Whitmer and threaten to withhold billions in federal funds unless the administration gives up pandemic powers. Specifically, the House wants the governor and the state health department to give up the authority to ban in-person school or sports in response to a health emergency, transferring that power to local health departments. Although Whitmer and the state health department issued orders through authority granted to the executive by previous legislatures, lawmakers continue to try and grab that power back from the governor's office.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because they don't want to listen to a woman in charge, because there's some misogyny there. There's a lot of misogyny there.
A lot of misogyny there.
And more importantly, they don't want anybody that even smells like they're from the left to have any control. Republicans and right-wingers want autocratic control everywhere. Local government, state government, federal government. Quote me on it. It's unbelievable.
It's undisputed.
It certainly is. And one story we're not going to have time to get to today, but you folks need to go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Southpaws Radio Show. You need to take a look at the series of stories that I've posted from David Folkenflik at National Public Radio, talking about how Trump has tried to destroy Voice of America from inside and was pretty well successful at doing it. Biden's fixing that, though.
Thank goodness.
I tell you what, Joe Biden, here's two more things to fix: the U.S. Postal Service and the Federal Communications Commission. Once again, I'm volunteering. Put me on the FCC board. You want to see some changes in this country, put me on the FCC board, because I'll push through a lot of changes, buddy. Yeah. Well, that's going to wrap things up for this week. We'll be back next week. I'm Darren Gibson.
I am Jack Prince.
For Katy Steele and Kristen Cook, please support independent media and the First Amendment.
The stations that carry Southpaws do not necessarily share the opinions expressed on the show. Southpaws is protected by the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and is copyrighted by Big D Entertainment. All rights reserved.